After
you marry
years
me?
of carrying old wounds, Dee met Huyen, a gentle woman who brought him a sense of peace he thought he no
This
longer
is for you.
deserved.
Oh,
Through
thank you.
small conversations and quiet afternoons by the river, their love grew slowly but
These are for
deeply.
you.
One summer morning, Dee gathered the courage to propose.
Oh, they're
Huyen accepted
beautiful.
through tears of joy.
I love you.
Together they prepared for their wedding, receiving warm blessings
I
from
love
family
you
and
too.
friends. On a beautiful day filled with sunlight, they officially started a new chapter, a life built from love, trust, and the comfort they found in each other. A tender, emotional love story about two hearts finding each other at the right time. If you enjoyed touching love stories like this, make sure to subscribe or follow now so you won't miss more heartfelt and inspiring stories. Every follow gives me more motivation to write just for you. On a summer morning, when the sun was still hiding behind the tall, ancient trees along the riverside, Dee stood at the familiar spot, hands clasped tightly as his heart thumped unevenly, as if even a gentle breeze could blow it away. Today was no ordinary day. It was the day he would bet his entire life on the woman named Huyen. Huyen appeared from afar with her usual quiet grace. Her pale blue dress fluttered softly, her hair tied low, and her small smile seemed to brighten the entire sky. When she approached him, her eyes paused on his tense expression, and she gently asked why he looked so serious. At that moment, Dee felt his hands grow cold, despite the warm sunlight spreading everywhere. He slipped his hand into his pocket and pulled out the small box that had kept him awake for many nights. Every line he had rehearsed disappeared. All he could do was look into Huyen's eyes, the eyes that had brought him peace for the past 2 years. Huyen, he began, his voice trembling slightly. Ever since you stepped into my life, everything changed. You didn't do anything grand. You just stayed, listened, smiled, asked how I was. But that alone pulled me out of the shadows I thought I'd never escape. I love you. And if you agree, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. He opened the box. The silver ring shimmered in the first light of morning. Huyen froze. Tears welled instantly in her eyes, her hand covering her mouth as if to keep her emotions from overflowing. She stared at him for a long time, as though she wanted to carve the image of the man before her deep into her heart. I agree, she whispered through trembling breaths. Just 3 words, but Dee felt as if the world had widened all at once. He slid the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms. They held each other tightly, like 2 puzzle pieces that had finally found where they belonged. From that day, their lives became wrapped in a new journey, preparing for their wedding. Long evenings choosing invitations, early mornings trying on dresses, meetings with both families, little arguments over where to take photos. They were exhausted, yet it was the sweetest kind of exhaustion that only 2 people in love could understand. Huyen told her mother. The elderly woman looked at the ring on her daughter's finger and burst into tears of joy. She stroked Huyen's hair and said it had been a long time since she'd seen her smile so brightly. Dee also brought Huyen to meet his family. His mother looked at her lovingly, asking small questions as though she had accepted her as a daughter-in-law from the start. One afternoon, as Dee watched Huyen try on her first wedding dress, she spun gently before the mirror and asked nervously if she looked good in it. Dee walked over, standing behind her, gazing at her reflection. It's not that you look good in a wedding dress. You just look right as my wife. Her cheeks warmed instantly like blooming spring petals. Dee knew that moment had etched itself deeply into him forever. The night before the wedding, the world was strangely quiet. Night wind slipped through the window, carrying a faint chill. Dae couldn't sleep. He sat in the living room, absent-mindedly turning the wedding invitation as though fearing everything was just a dream. His father passed by and sat next to him. "Nervous?" his father asked in a warm, steady voice. Dae gave a weak smile. His father patted his shoulder. "When I married your mother, I was shaking even worse than you. But marriage isn't about perfection. It's about sincerity. Don't worry about not being good enough. Just don't let Huyen feel lonely." Those words struck something deep inside Dae. He took a long breath, silently promising himself that he would protect her smile for as long as he lived. The wedding day arrived beneath an unbelievably beautiful sky. Sunlight spilled across the pathway leading into the venue. When Huyen walked in, the entire room seemed to brighten once more. Her white dress followed her delicate frame, her eyes glowing with happiness. Dae stood waiting at the stage, watching her walk toward him as if witnessing something sacred. When her hand touched his, he knew she was forever his. They exchanged rings as soft music flowed through the room. Dae's hand trembled slightly as he slid the ring onto her finger. He looked at her for a long moment, his voice choking. "From today, I promise to protect you, love you, and walk beside you for the rest of our lives." Huyen bit her lip to hold back tears, but they still fell as she whispered, "And I promise to stay with you, through sunshine and storms, through peace and hardship." Applause filled the hall. Dae gently kissed her forehead, the kiss that marked the start of their new journey. The reception was full of laughter and warmth. They held hands, moving from table to table, receiving toast after toast. At one point, Huyen turned to him and softly said, "It feels like I'm dreaming." Dae looked at her with the kind of smile that seemed to cradle the whole world. "It's not a dream, but if it were, I'd want to stay in it forever." By the time the last guest left, Dae wrapped his arms around her and murmured into her hair, "Thank you for choosing me." Huyen rested her head on his chest. "I chose you because you are my peace." On their wedding night, they sat by the window watching the golden streetlights shimmer outside. The warmth in the room felt like it was embracing their two newly joined hearts. Huyen grabbed his hand, her voice trembling. "Do you ever think this happiness is too much? I'm afraid I won't be able to hold on to it." Dae tightened his grip on her hand. "Happiness isn't something you hold alone. We'll hold it together." She leaned on his shoulder, releasing a soft breath that seemed to let go of every fear. Outside, the night wind continued to blow, but inside the room, only their hearts beat in harmony. It was the beginning of a new journey, quiet, gentle, and real. A journey of two people who chose each other, promised to walk side by side, and believed that happiness doesn't come from grand things, but from choosing the right hand to hold until the end of the road.